Cool. So I told everyone I'd do a live session, an emotional coaching session on this dog. Probably have all sorts of issues to work on. So Blue began his life as some drug dealer's dog tied to a trailer in North Carolina, used as a as a catch dog a bit. He is about 70 pounds right now. When my nephew first got him, he was 40. Could have hardly had the strength to get in the truck, and now he's super healthy. Drug dealers even went to court to try and get him back. But come here, bud. Hello. Anyways, we're gonna do a session on this dog, and we're gonna see if we can track down and reset some things, potentially some things, how he relates to other dogs. He also, there we go. He also might have been attacked by a mountain lion or something, defending his other dog buddies. Twice, yeah. Someone came home and all the other dogs were hiding underneath the house, and he was all messed up. So you're a brave dog. We're gonna see what we can do to help you out here. So, Avi, you have your permission to work on your dog here?
Yes.
Okay, real quick, I just want to give a couple examples of other stuff I've done. I remember I do most of this stuff over the phone. A while back, I did it for my sister. She called me up. She had just adopted a golden retriever, and she's like, "Man, this dog has got all sorts of issues." I'm like, "Well, let's see what we can do." And while working on the dog, I said, "Well, your dog has a heart wall, so we're going to use the emotion code from Dr. Nelson." So I said, your dog has a heart wall of jealousy from 2 years ago. So I don't really have any way of knowing if that's accurate or not. He doesn't have to sit here. Will do. He can come back occasionally. So I told her your dog has a heart wall of jealousy from 2 years ago. And we reset it. And I wasn't sure. You have no way of knowing if that's accurate. And then a few days later, she called me and she goes, "Oh, he's doing much better." I'm like, "Cool." And maybe coincidence. And about a week later, she called me again, and she's like, so she goes, "I called the dog's old owners," and I'm like, "What's the history on this dog?" And she's like, "Well, 2 years ago, our daughter bought a little white fluffy dog and quit paying attention to your golden retriever," which is exactly what I told her. I did some work on my cousin's golden retriever. I worked on a lot of golden retrievers. They're like high maintenance or something.
I thought they were really happy dogs.
Yeah. I told my cousin that her golden retriever, I said, "This is going to sound really weird, but I think your dog has survivor's guilt." That's just a weird thing. And she's like, "Oh yeah, she does." She goes, "My dog saw her mother and her sister get eaten by a mountain lion." I worked on another lady's dog who was literally, the dog was a maniac terrorizing the neighborhood. And she said while I was working on him, he calmed down and laid down beside her. And later all the neighbors were like, "What happened to your dog? He's so chill now." So we'll see what's going on. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this muscle testing stick. So muscle testing is just a yes or no response. And I'm going to do it on the dog's behalf. He's going to chill out there on the bed over there. And so the first thing we'll do is I'm going to be testing for Blue, and these are going to be his results. So I'm going to say, my name is Blue. So we're good on that. So you kind of want to, Avi, what are some of the main issues that you see, like separation anxiety, or how he handles other dogs? Or
separation anxiety, that's the biggest one.
The biggest one, right?
How
about his energy around other dogs too?
Yeah, the way he plays with other dogs is normally very rough, and but he likes to play. He wants to play with them.
Yeah.
But other dogs get scared of him very easily, and then want to fight.
Got it.
That doesn't work out too well for the other dog.
Well, let's just do a few general things and see what comes up. I'm gonna say as Blue. All right, as Blue, I have a trapped emotion. That'll be a yes. This trapped emotion, he can stay there, is in column A. Or maybe put the mattress up, then you won't get. In column A, A1, 3, or 5, A2, A4, A6. So a trapped emotion in A6 right here on this chart. So we're going to look it up. A6 of humiliation. Yes, not humiliation, no. It is humiliation, yes. Okay. And you say he's 4 years old? Yep. Okay. Trapped emotion, humiliation, 2 years or younger, 1 year or younger, 6 months or younger, 5 months or younger, at about 6 months. So, I mean, we have no way of knowing since he was the drug dealer dog at that time, but a trapped emotion of humiliation at 6 months old, we'll say connected to, being a big dog then. Being a big dog. So tentatively, they think he might have been used as a bait dog, and that's a little young, but who knows? There's the drug dealer shooting nutty. So maybe being used as a bait dog or something like that.
I got him at 1.5 years.
A year and a half. Oh, okay.
And he had clearly been a bait dog for a while.
Already been that. So we're just going to use a magnet down the dog's central meridian, but you can still do this over the phone too for people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. So I know in people, humiliation issues can often be very associated with rage and anger, and temper issues. But you seem like a pretty chill dude. Let's see what else is going on. As blue, I have another trapped emotion we can release. Yes. It's an A. No, I'll say B. Yes. B1, 3, or 5. B2. B4. B6. A trapped emotion, B6 of pride. A trapped emotion of pride. 2 years younger. 1 year young. At 6 months. At 5 months or less. 6 months. Emotion of pride. Okay, so the interesting thing, when you deal with, and I've never had this with a dog, but it seems to be similar with a dog too. I know when I deal with people and they have trapped emotions of pride come up, it's very interesting. It's never the way you think it is. Like most people, when they think of pride, they think, oh, I'm so fabulous. But what will happen a lot of times for people, and which is a lot more dangerous version of it, is people will feel that their situation is the worst in the world. Like no one has had as tough a life as they had, or does that make sense? It's like it tends to have exalting how horrible things are for them. And we're gonna say trapped emotion of pride for blue, age 6 months, related to how miserable I am. Yes. So I'm gonna, just out of curiosity, I'm going to say this particular situation is also accurately described on the map. Yes, so we're also using this document here, the map of consciousness. We're using these two separate documents to kind of reference potential issues. So this trapped emotion of pride issue has an additional description on the top of the map. Yes. In green, green God view, green life view. Harmonious. Not harmonious. There's the word harmonious. So how would the word harmonious have to do with this situation? Let me just think about this. Harmony. So what I would say is, this may sound weird, but I would say it's almost like he was in a situation where he just wanted to keep the peace. Does that make sense? Like, don't want to disturb anyone. I want to keep the harmony. Like, I don't want to, don't want to be attacked or beaten or whatever. I just want to be below the radar. Does that make sense? So, anyways, let's release that for him too. So write that down to trapped emotion pride, 6 months. So we'll say, as blue, connected to my separation anxiety. I have a trapped emotion connected to my separation anxiety. Yes. So I'll say it's an A. Yes. B. No. See, I always double check things. So it's an A. A1, 3, or 5. Yes. A1. Yes. Trapped emotion of abandonment. Yes. And interesting enough, you may think that trapped emotions of abandonment come up a lot. They don't. A lot of people go, oh, I have all these abandonment issues. And a lot of times it's totally different stuff. But in this case, I would say a trapped emotion of abandonment. So we'll say 2 or younger, 1 or under. So between a year and a half and 2 years old, were you ever gone, or were you with him?
I got him when he was basically kind of abandoned a year and a half. He was a year and a half old.
Did you ever, in the next 6 months, did you ever leave him?
You went to work.
Yeah, for 1 week.
For 1 week? Yeah, so I think that's it. So the abandonment issue is not for what went on for him before then, but when you came in his life, the guy who actually took good care of him, and then when you left a few weeks later, that trapped emotion is from that issue, not from what went on before.
Oh, maybe more like 2.5, 3.
It could be another issue.
When I went to sell cars, we went from spending every day, all day together to not spending.
Yeah, there may be additional issues, but I would say this is between a year and a half and 2. You said you left for a week at some point in there.
Well, right after I rescued him, yeah, about a few months after, yeah, I left for a few days.
Okay, well, let's reset that for him. 1, 2, 3. So one of the things you want to look for is to kind of surprise yourself. So if I had guessed when that trapped emotion abandonment would have happened, I would assume that before you got him, like when he was just kind of tied up to a truck, or more recently when you thought it was, and there may be additional issues there too. But all right, I'm going to say, as blue, also related to abandonment issues, is another trapped emotion. Yes, it's an A. It's in B. Okay, so B1, 3, or 5. No, B2, B4. So we go to B4 on this chart, and we'll go trapped emotion of depression. So a trapped emotion of depression, also between a year and a half and 2, older than 2. You say he's 4 now. We'll say between 2 and 3. Between 2.5 and 3. So between I would say a trapped emotion of depression between 2 and 2.5. Let's see, we need more information on this. Yes. So the additional information is, do we have anybody watching, by the way?
Yeah.
So this, all right, so between 2 and 2.5, but we need more information. So I'm just gonna muscle test a couple words here and see if we can figure this out. Additional information on the chart in A, B1, 3, or 5, B2 of yes.
Someone says, I'm not sure I could be as mellow as this doggy while my past issues were being called out. But notice how she was running all around, and then when we started working on him, he started...
maybe he wore himself out. Maybe he's like, oh, I like this. Who knows? So, the word that is connected to depression is failure. You know, a lot of times dogs like this, they're working dogs. They want to please everybody. And I think he had a trapped emotion of depression because he felt like a failure for some reason.
He got neutered in between that time that you're talking about.
somehow related to feeling dudes getting neutered. You're no longer a man. I don't know. Was that the problem?
He felt very. He looked depressed after that.
He looked depressed after he got neutered.
He was depressed after that time. And
Interesting.
I felt terrible. I should have never done it.
All right.
Your sister made me do it.
All right. It's her fault. So.
It's Auntie Anna's fault.
So trapped emotion of depression relating to getting neutered. What is our battery level at there?
I don't know. It just popped up low.
Okay. Well, we'll hurry up on this. So we're going to release this. Actually, let's double check. Yeah, we can release that. We're going to release this before you fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Actually, you can fall asleep. That's fine. So we're going to release a trapped emotion of depression at about between 2 and 2.5 for the dog. Go boy.
You get to call Auntie Anna and tell her it was her fault.
No. So also related to what we're calling separation anxiety as another trapped emotion. It's my trapped emotion. So, one of the real interesting things you can deal with is a certain portion of your mental emotional health is inherited for people and dogs. In fact, there's a real fascinating study on mice that they show that different psychic traumas can be passed down through the DNA. Real fascinating. But the next thing we're going to do is related to him as an inherited trapped emotion. And this one is an A. A1, 3, or 5. A2. So an A2 of anxiety. Inherited trapped emotion of anxiety from his mom. Yes, mom's mom, mom's dad, mom's dad's dad, just mom's dad. And we can release that. So an inherited trapped emotions, sometimes they show up immediately, and if you're working with people, they're like, oh, I've always felt that way. Or what happens is they kind of lie below the surface, and a certain incident can kind of turn it on, and so you react. In other words, this might have been something he dealt with right from the get-go, or it kind of lay below the surface, and a certain event in his life triggered anxiety more than it would have had he not had that inherited predisposition. So we'll just do that 10 times for the inherited stuff. So he is much more chill. He was using me as a bit of a chew toy before we started doing this. In fact, I have broke the skin on my hand.
Did he?
Yeah.
He doesn't usually do that.
A little excited, but he's chill now. Okay, so we'll just double check that. Release that. Yes. Cool. Well, let's do this. As blue, we have resolved this issue 70% or more, 80% or more, or 75% or more. So we're maybe about 70% done with that. I'm going to say as blue. I have another trapped emotion related to this separation anxiety issue. It's an A, B1, 3, or 5, B1, B3, B5. So in B5, conflict. How are we doing on batteries? Do you get another signal?
It doesn't say.
Not
so
yet.
I guess.
Okay. Another trapped emotion of conflict between 2 and 3, between 2.5 and 3, between 2 and 2.5. Conflict before I got neutered. An incident before I got neutered. Did he have any with somebody? Did he have any conflict with somebody before he got neutered? After 2, before he got neutered? Conflict, trapped emotion, conflict with a person. Anyone? Is anybody mean to him? Angry with him? I would say, so when you weren't there, he doesn't want anything. Let me just say this. So, and all this is purely educated guesswork, but I'm going to say potentially some sort of trapped emotion of conflict between before he got neutered, not with a dog, with another person. Maybe when you weren't there. But let's see, I can release that, yes. All right. Okay. Yeah. I release that. So, so this issue is 80% or more involved. So I think we probably got most of the trapped emotional issues related to this. One other thing I want to do is, so dogs are very, they're kind of, they need a certain emotional energy from their owners to be happy and content and like in their Zen place, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to test for descriptions on what he really needs from his owner to be happiest. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right.
It's a lot of pressure on me.
A lot of pressure on you, yes.
Yeah.
So, as Blue, what I need most from Avi is something on the map. Something on the top of the map. So not the top, somewhere on the bottom, we'll say in yellow. Yellow God view, light view, emotion, information, scorn. So to affirm to him, so affirmation, but affirmation of what is the question? So affirmation of something else on the map. Something in green, yes, green God view, green life view, green emotion, green process. Transcendence in terms of not going back to it. So what I would say is so the two words that come up are an affirmation of transcendence. So just to affirm to him that, what he went through was what he went through. It's in the past. That's not going to ever be in his future. Does that make sense? Anyways, anything else you might test the dog for?
No.
The mountain lion and cougar attack, but that might be too much for one day.
Yeah, the most recent attack?
Yeah, let's do something quick on that, hopefully before we run out of batteries real fast. Related to a potential, no one was there, but it looked like definitely that's what happened. As Blue's got a trapped emotion related to that on a B1305, B1, ever done received, heartache, insecurity, overjoy. So trapped emotion of vulnerability, related to that, yes, vulnerability to dying, vulnerability. So trapped emotion of vulnerability, not to dying, but to something in A1, 3 or 5, A2, A4, A6. Emotion of vulnerability to. So he wasn't really scared of dying. He's more afraid of getting humiliated. If you can die with honor, that's okay. But if
that makes more sense.
If some stupid cat beats you up, then that's completely unacceptable.
He is a pitbull.
Okay. Because it's fine to die, with honor.
Right?
But to get beat up, that's just not cool.
It's not cool.
All right.
But you won that fight.
You won that fight. You saved your buddies, even though they were hiding under the house. But that's okay. You're the top dog. All right. I think that's good. So, anyone has any questions, you can put them in here. I'll come back and check the comments later. More information on my website, theemotionresetcoach.com. You can also get the book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Brad Nelson. Really interesting stories in there. I'll tell you one very brief story. People are walking their Lhasa Apso in the woods. Out from nowhere, this coyote comes running by, grabs their dog, and runs off. And they're like, we're never going to see this dog again. Well, about 3 days later, the dog showed up. A little bloody, but fine. However, the dog emotionally was whacked. And in fact, the owners took the dog. And then they're like, to Dr. Nelson, they're like, you need to see if you can help this dog because the dog's so emotionally broken, we may even put him down just for that. And so Dr. Brad did testing on the dog. I forget what it was. It was basically it was a trapped emotion of sadness, and the dog, as he was being carried away by that coyote, was so sad that he would never see his owners again, and that blew such a fuse for him that it totally messed him up. Well, Dr. Brad said when he reset that for the dog, dog went running through the waiting room, was saying hi to everybody, totally changed like that. Anyways, we're running out of batteries. Push end, bottom right, I finish.